P. Henry 76 believes that the offense is on par or possibly better than the Kyler Murray year of 2018. He says the D should be the best that it's been in years. The question is whether Lincoln can develop that killer mentality and push to put teams away. Now, I don't know if he's talking about killer mentality, meaning his approach to the game management to put teams away, or I would think maybe Alex Grinch factors into this question as well in regards to the defensive mentality.
Yeah, I think so. So, Mark, kind of interesting. I'll piggyback off of that and do a little shameless plug here. I wrote about that in one of our stories on Last Word on college football last week that talked a lot about some of the storylines for camp, and one of those was, how is Lincoln Riley going to develop that killer mentality or that finisher mentality for Oklahoma this year? And there's been a few examples that you can look at where Oklahoma has had teams on the ropes the last couple of years, and they've not been able to completely finish the job. Going back to 2019, Oklahoma had a 21-point lead against Iowa State in the third quarter, ended up a missed two-point conversion away from losing that game, won the game by a single point. And then there was other games as well. The TCU game, they were up by 21 points early, ended up winning the game by a field goal. You look at last year, that both Iowa State games, they had a lead, specifically in the Big 12 championship game. They had a comfortable lead. They had to hang on there. They had obviously the Kansas State game, they were up by 21 points. They lost that one. Texas game, they were up by 14 points in the fourth quarter. They had to go to overtime to win that game. So, and it's not all on Riley. I mentioned that, but I think a lot of it, their third down, I think the big component was the third down conversion percentage offensively was not as good as it has been in the past. So I think that's part of it, but really just kind of putting his foot on the gas pedal, I think, is going to be it's a little bit of I would say, a storyline to watch for this season, specifically in some of these games that Oklahoma is a heavy favorite or has games in control. What does Lincoln do? Does he put his foot off the gas on the gas, or does he rely on that much improved defense to help him there? So I think that will be something that's interesting to look at this year, because Lincoln does tend to get very conservative late in games with leads.
Then we also need to look ahead to 2023, because Lincoln Riley and his staff sure are, and they're just not picking up a couple players here and there. They are picking up significant talent in this 2023 class. It may not mean a whole lot right now. I think it's significant, but obviously we're a long ways to the finish line, about a year and a half to National Signing Day for 2023. But still, when you get these kind of commitments, you know that the majority of them are going to stick around, especially with a program like Oklahoma. So it's number one in the country right now. It's number one in the Big 12. And you know what? It's number one in the SEC as well. 3 of these commits came in, Jason, in August.
Yeah, Mark. So we had a couple last week, and then there was one today, earlier this morning. So Luke Haas was a guy that tied in out of Bixby, Oklahoma, number one player overall in the state in the 2023 class. He's the number 2, number 3 tight end overall in the country. He's a 4-star commit, a guy that, I think there's been some ridicule on the Oklahoma program just of getting the number of Oklahoma kids into the program, and it's been much better for the recruiting in state over the last few months. So I think there's been a renewed desire to not let some of the best talent in the state of Oklahoma, kind of get out of there. And then Makai Lemon is another guy, another 5-star guy who, out of California, is teammates with Malachi Wilson, who's a commit for Oklahoma in the 2023 class as well. Malachi Nelson, is a commit for Oklahoma in the 2023 class. And another 5-star guy, He's an athlete, one of the best athletes in the country. He probably projects to be a wide receiver for Oklahoma. And then today, Joshua Bates, offensive lineman, a center, 6'3", 280, number 33, 34 overall, offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman product in the 2023 class. So yeah, Mark, as you mentioned, 2023 is heating up. The 2022 recruiting is a little, some of those kids are certainly getting ready for their senior year. So not a whole lot of news on that one. However, there's another kid that Oklahoma fans are wanting to kind of get excited about is Brandon Ennis, who's a 5-star guy out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who's the number one wide receiver in the country, number 9 overall product in the country. He's a 5-star kid. He will make his announcement next week on the 23rd, actually a week and a half from now, on the 22nd, I should say. So I think all signs point to him being an Oklahoma commitment here in the near future. I think Steve Wilfong of 247 has him going to Oklahoma as like a 7 or 8 confident. So he's pretty confident that that's where he's going to go. So yeah, I think Oklahoma's heating up. Certainly all of these I know there's always the thought Oklahoma seems to be getting really early on the offensive guys, and then kind of some of the defensive guys seem to follow a little bit. So all of the I think all of the commits that Oklahoma has right now are on the offensive side of the ball, but the defense will come. I know people get a little bit nervous when it's just all offense earlier in the year, and I know that's just kind of probably some recruiting fatigue over the years. But yeah, the defensive stuff will come. But yeah, Oklahoma's looking as a clear number 1 at this point. Way too early, but right now it's looking really solid.
Yeah, the top end talent. Sometimes if you're looking that far ahead at a 2023 class in the summer of 2021, sometimes there will be particular teams that'll rank high that far out that are basically they're scarfing up a lot of players, and or they're in a position where they may lose a fairly large portion of them. When we see the likes of Rutgers in the top 10, as we did a couple months ago for the 22 class, that sort of thing, you can raise an eyebrow. But these are 5 stars, and not that they're going to get all of them, but they're not going to lose many at all.
Right.
And man, to get that portion of 5 stars when we know that there's only about 35 per class is pretty remarkable at this stage of the game.
Oh, absolutely. And, you kind of wonder, that Oklahoma's probably didn't have the same 5-star kids in this class this year, and even the 2022 class. You wonder how much the SEC move is pulling into that recruiting side of things. From everything I've been told, that Oklahoma is not shied away from mentioning that to recruits. Certainly, they can't go and say exactly when this is going to happen, but obviously for some of those 2023 recruits, it's going to be within their time at Oklahoma or wherever they choose. So yeah, I think that's part of the impact. I think, and I think that the defensive guys will certainly come. I think a lot of that comes with the success on the field where Oklahoma has seen that happen. So I think it's when you look at the recruiting here in even 2022, it's strong, and I think it just shows to how much they've improved on that side of the ball and just overall.